Happy Wednesday. Got my Maris hat on because I figured by this point we're probably crushing the homeroom challenge. I mean, who's going to stand a chance against us? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you so we can get started today. On Wednesday, May 13th classwork, this is lesson 7.3. How many major political parties does the United States have? What is the name of those parties? You should have said the United States has two major political parties. They are called the Republican Party and Democratic Party. Also super important to remind you guys that technically the United States is not a country with just two political parties. Technically, we allow as many political parties as we need. However, the way the system kind of rolled itself out, we have two parties that have all of the power and any other political party has none, right? We talked about the Green Party last week. We talked about the Libertarian Party last week. They don't have as much power. Just the Republican and Democratic parties have power right now. So even though we don't require a two-party system, we have that. What is the problem with having a two-party system in the United States? One problem with a two-party system is we get limited choices for elected officials. I was going to say president, but it's not just president. Governors, congressmen and women, senators. We only get a couple of choices, right? You have a choice between a Democrat or a Republican. You don't have a choice of other parties. You just have a choice of those two. So if you find yourself somewhere in the middle or not agreeing with either one, you're kind of stuck at that point. So that's one of the issues with a two-party system. Moving on to the next page. What fifth grader's name did I say in this video? I don't know. Whose name did I say? Whose name did I say? Read a gist for the graph below. This is the Electoral College DBQ. It's from various sources. It says the 1980 presidential election, Ronald Reagan, Republican, Jimmy Carter, Democrat, John B. Anderson, Independent. This is the popular vote. This means this is how many people voted for them. So Ronald Reagan received about 44 million votes. Jimmy Carter received about 35 million votes, and John B. Anderson received about 6 million votes. So I rounded, that's why I said about, but that's about how many votes they met, meaning 44 million people voted for Ronald Reagan, 35 million people voted for Jimmy Carter, and 6 million people about voted for John B. Anderson. The Electoral College vote, Ronald Reagan received 489 Electoral College votes, so 91% of that. Jimmy Carter received 49 Electoral College votes, and John B. Anderson received 0 Electoral College votes. This is the Electoral College pie chart. The big black chunk is Ronald Reagan. The small gray chunk is Jimmy Carter. This is the popular vote. This is how many people voted for them. The smaller black chunk here is Ronald Reagan. The bigger dark gray right here is Jimmy Carter, and then that little whiter section is John B. Anderson. This is the 1992 presidential election. Remember, we got the same thing. Popular vote, how many people voted for you, versus Electoral College vote, how many states' electoral colleges did you get? So Bill Clinton, the Democrat, received about 45 million votes. George H.W. Bush, the Republican, received about 39 million votes. And Ross Perot, the Independent, received about 19 million votes. Electoral College-wise, Bill Clinton received 370 Electoral College votes. George H.W. Bush received 168 Electoral College votes. And Ross Perot received 0. Just think about that. 19 million people voted for him, and he received 0 Electoral College votes. That means that Illinois, he didn't win Illinois. He didn't win any state, but 19 million people from a bunch of different states still voted for him, and he got 0 Electoral College votes. What does this show? This graph, this chart shows. Who won the popular vote in both the 1980 and 1992 elections? So who had the most popular votes in 1980 and 1992 elections? Full sentence. In 1980, the winner of the popular vote was. In 1992, the winner of the popular vote was. Who won the Electoral College vote in 1980 and 1992? The winner of the Electoral College vote in 1980 was. The winner of the Electoral College vote in 1992 was. Full and complete sentence. Next question. The person who won the popular vote, the most votes, also won the electoral vote. Does this seem fair? Yes, no, why or why not? The person who received the most number of votes from each individual person also won the Electoral College vote. Does that seem fair that the person who won the most number of votes also got the most Electoral College votes? Yes, no, and why? This is fair. This is not fair because blank. Last question for this source, then we're going to move on. The third party candidate received 0 Electoral College votes. In both cases, the Electoral College vote, 0 for the third party candidate. Why do people believe that voting for a third party candidate is a wasted vote? Think about those people who voted for those person. They received 0 Electoral College votes. Why do they believe that it was a wasted vote? Answer in a full and complete sentence. When you are done with that, we are going to move on to source F, Angel. So you're ready for that? It says write a gist for the selection below, Angel. I just said it twice, so if you don't get Angel's name, I just said it 2 times, 3 times. Type it in up there. Document number 4, review of the 2000 elections. This is 2000. Still don't think you were born yet. I was born. The 2000 presidential election was the most recent election where the popular vote winner was not elected. That's actually a lie. This was written before 2016, where it happened again, but we'll talk about that in a couple of days. George W. Bush, the son of former President George H.W. Bush, ran on the Republican ticket against Democratic candidate and the vice president, Al Gore. Though Gore had a slim popular vote victory of 543,895 votes, meaning he received 500,000, about 550,000 more votes from each people, Bush won the Electoral College 271 to 266, with one Gore elector abstaining or not voting. The election was plagued with allegations of voter fraud and disenfranchisement. Rumors of illegal roadblocks, unclear ballots, and uncounted votes, particularly in swing states like Missouri and Florida, were rampant or all over the place. Everyone was like, this vote wasn't counted. This ballot doesn't make any sense. Everyone kept saying that. Florida became the key state as the election drew to a close. Consisting of nearly 6 million voters, Florida was officially won by a margin of 537 votes after a process of recounting the votes and a Supreme Court ruling. Another significant candidate in the 2000 election was Green Party candidate Ralph Nader. That's a third party. Nader attracted just under 3% of voters with a progressive platform focused on social and environmental issues. Democratic supporters targeted Nader as being a spoiler for Al Gore. Since Nader was left of center, Democrats argued that most of his voters would have otherwise supported or voted for Al Gore. In such a close election, many believe that Gore would have won if Nader had dropped out of the race. The 2000 election resulted in numerous court battles over contested ballots and recounts. These lawsuits escalated to the U.S. Supreme Court, where the final 5-4 decision was made, ending the recounts and giving the state of Florida's electoral votes to George W. Bush. That's a huge text right there, guys, but it's a super important moment in history. Al Gore received more votes than George Bush in the entire United States. He received about 550,000 more votes. So about 550,000 more people voted for him than George Bush. However, because we don't pick our president, we don't vote directly for our president. Remember, we have the Electoral College. It all comes down to who wins the Electoral College. So every state has a certain number of electoral votes that they give to that person. Because of the way the system is set up, even though Al Gore had more votes by the people, George Bush still won the Electoral College vote by 271 to 266, by 5 Electoral College votes. This is by far one of the closest elections that we've ever had. To give you an example of a time where that has also happened, and many of you might know this, in 2016, Hillary Clinton received 3 million more votes. 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. However, because of the Electoral College and each state giving their electoral votes to someone, Donald Trump won the Electoral College and won the presidency. So even though 3 million more people, right, 65 million people to about 62 million people, even though 65 million people voted for Hillary Clinton and wanted Hillary Clinton to win, Donald Trump still became president because of the Electoral College. And just like they spoke about Al Gore and Ralph Nader, a similar situation happened in 2016. Someone named Jill Stein also ran in a third-party candidate and received a lot of votes that could have gone to Hillary Clinton. So just think of it like this. If I'm picking between 3 people and my first choice is John, my second choice is Mary, and I vote for John and John doesn't win, I could have voted for Mary, right? So a lot of people went in and voted for Ralph Nader, and then Ralph Nader didn't win. So they now were like, oh, well, I could have voted for Al Gore, but they didn't have a chance to go back and redo it. That's why third-party candidates. How was the third-party candidate Ralph Nader a spoiler in the 2000 election? I need to fix that. It should say 2000 election. How was Ralph Nader a spoiler? I basically just laid it out for you. Go ahead and answer that there. Congratulations. Make sure you click the submit button, and I'll see you tomorrow without my hat on. Have a great Wednesday. Please stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.